Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here. So we're back with another free-to-play clear in terms of how we cleared World 4 difficulty 2 with just these 4 base units as well. Now I know I have a lot of other characters I could have used, but I just want to make free-to-play clears for you guys so it's very easy that you can always have like a baseline to fall back on, and as long as you follow the strategies as well as like the stats that I have, most likely you'll be fine in terms of level of investment of characters as well. So let's go ahead and dive in first with like the first character that I have, Dan Heng. In terms of my main DPS is definitely going to be Dan Heng, very useful in this stage. Very strong amounts of windbreak damage to take out the arm of that Svalrog summons immediately as soon as possible, because that really like causes a lot of trouble. I know some of you are having trouble like multiple 2 or 3 arms coming all up at once and grabbing all your teammates. Yeah, it's a real difficult one, and you want to have a unit that can burst down their arm very well, and I think Dan Heng is definitely a very solid pick for that one as well. So in terms of the light cone I'm using Cruising the Stellar Sea. You can get this from the Herta shop. This is the Hunt one. I have it at Super in position 4 already, so it's giving me quite a bit of stats as well. But I know some of you, maybe you chose other light cones. I'll give you options as well. You could of course run, for example, only Silence Remain. I was using this for the longest time until hitting in terms of getting this one and migrating over it. If you guys follow my channel, I gave you my thoughts as well in terms of the shop guide already. But I think only Silence Remains is pretty good as well if you have it. Other ones that are pretty solid, of course, is like swordplay and stuff like that. I've already done like a full light cone video in terms of like a complete 50-minute condensed guide that once you're done with it, you will know every single 4-star, 5-star light cone in the game. But you guys can check it out on the channel if you're interested. But anyway, back into his overall kit. In terms of relics, I'm running, as you can see, still mostly purple gear. I know some of you have upgraded very quickly once you hit Trailblaze level 40. I'm still using mostly purple gear, and I'm mainly using this Musketeer of Warweed for the attack stat as well as the speed as well as attack boost damage. Here I'm just running a simple space ceiling station with Wearer's attack 12%. And in terms of like the main stat, I'm just going to talk a bit more about Dan Heng because he's really the one that made a bit of a difference because he's the main DPS. I won't go as much in depth for my other characters. You can check out like my build guides for those that you're more interested in as well on the channel. All of them are up already, so tons of resources for you guys already. So I'm just looking for like crit rate, speed in terms of whatever I have. This is like whatever is some defensive stat, not really that bad since there's no like turn requirement. I'm running crit rate, definitely very valuable on him. He wants to crit a bit more. Running speed to get him a bit up to speed. Wind damage bonus for more damage as well as attack percentage in terms of the link rope as well. So solid amounts of damage. He can do like 13k currently at level 60 in terms of this level of investment. So he's my main DPS. I think he's the most important build. The other characters are not as well built, but let's take a look real quick. In terms of Asta, I'm running her with Dance. This one action advances the whole team. The super in position one's like 16%. If you don't have this, I think a real good alternative will be Chorus, which gives attack bonus as well to 12% to all allies. A very nice early game 12% bonus, pretty strong. It's a 3-star light cone. Most of you would have it as well if you don't use Dance. So that's my Asta build. Not really significant in terms of overall, just nice there for damage buffing, fire break damage. Natasha is the sustain in the team. She gives a lot of healing as well as sometimes you need an emergency panic button. Her ultimate is there. Running her in terms of abundance light cone here just gives a good amount of energy regeneration for herself to have an uptime. Increases outgoing healing when she uses her ultimate burst. Very, very solid, well-rounded light cone. Other 4-star ones, you can choose quite a lot. There's really plenty you can choose from. I've already done it like in my build guide video for Natasha. You guys can check it out. I don't want to bore you guys with like these details because they are not like critical characters. They are useful, but they didn't like do the DPS to take down Svalrog because it's really more of like a DPS check in terms of breaking the arm. So last but not least, I have my preservation character, my fire main MC. Some of you are quick to notice here, I'm actually running defense and not my usual setup in terms of more defensive gear. This one is pretty useful because it gives additional HP restoration. For those of you who don't know, I actually am a fan of running Destruction, especially in the simulated universe, and Destruction generally pushes her to very low life and all my teammates to very low life. This just gives a bit more sustain, taking away a bit of pressure from Natasha, as well as because she's drawing quite a lot of aggro, taking quite a lot of damage as well from opponents. So I find that this is a pretty nice backup. You do lose the 4-star stats though, because I do have it built. Usually I use like day 1 of my new life for team-wide in terms of damage resistance, but I felt I wanted to go a bit more in terms of the HP healing, and it turned out pretty well as well. All my members survived going to the end. So those are my main 4 characters. Now let's jump into the simulated universe screen, and I'll tell you like the buffs I took and my thought process as well tackling the boss. Okay, first things first, I have my ability tree quite well built. I didn't activate this as of the time I defeated it. I only activated it after when I beat it. I had enough tickets after that. So I'm probably around 24 in terms of like the progression in terms of the ability tree. The last one that I unlocked was this extra blessings one. You can actually select an extra blessing after winning battle first time in Simulated Universe. I think that the ones that are very, very key and like vital to make a difference would be, this is not very vital. This one is very important, Resonance Formation tool, because it allows you to choose a second blessing in terms of resonance. So you have, after you get 6, you choose 1, you get 10, you choose another one. Pretty solid, especially if you want your buffs to just compound on each other. Other than that, I think that the other one that is pretty important will be this one here, Reset Blessings. When selecting a blessing in the simulated universe after defeating enemies, you can consume like 30 fragments or something to reset the blessing once. This is not that good in like, if you think about it in terms of optimal progression, because you can always just reset and run, but this makes it a lot more efficient if you are, for example, you don't want to waste too much time, go in, pick the perfect buffs, beat the floor and move on kind of thing. I think this is really, really solid to get, very, very useful. And if some of you are more aggressive and you are really hardworking as well, and you could actually grind all the way up to here before you go in, I think this one is very, very strong because it allows you to unlock all 3 of the additional resonance blessings as well from whatever path you're choosing. Very, very solid, but I only unlocked it later on. So I'll probably use it in like World 5 difficulty 2 going in as well. I'll also be clearing free to play World 5, so stay tuned for that if you guys are interested to know as well. And now let's talk about in terms of the buff and the path that I chose. Okay, and out of all of the paths, I chose Nanook in terms of the path of destruction. Now let's go into like what he does real quick. Alright, so we're in this path, and what he does is basically when you have the path of resonance, that 100 energy unlocks. It unlocks after you get 3 of the same path for the path of destruction. What it unlocks is when you use the ability, basically the difference between your max HP and your current HP. Basically, it's like the HP that you lost will be dealt as damage. Like all of the team members you have, HP lost, dealt as damage to the opponents. This is, if you think about it, this on its own is not very useful because if you have Natasha on your team, most of the time you might be at full life, but when comboed with this other one here, this cataclysmic variable, this is a very, very useful one because what it does is once you press the path of resonance, the ability, you consume immediately 40% of all your characters' shared HP life, and it will give it back as a shield. If you don't have, for example, 40% to lose, then you just don't do anything and you don't get a shield also. So it's very nice to like quickly chunk down your HP, deal a lot of damage. The big shield is also comboed together with other buffs that you can get. For example, if you are running preservation, there are some of them like the dish out additional damage. I think there's one that's also like damage reduction if you have a shield and stuff like that. Yeah, for example, this one right here, the firmness. So it really compounds because it gives you like this huge thick shield. You could even do damage using like quick damage also. You could combo it up if you want a bit more damage as well. So I really like this flexibility of playing defensive and offensive. It's not a very simple path to use, but once you follow enough, you get used to it. You really can clear almost anything, a very underleveled and undergeared also. In terms of using destruction, it's a hybrid between defensive and offensive, and out of all of the paths, it's the only one that gives you both offense and defense at the same time. I really like it. So in terms of this one, very strong. The other ones that I believe I used here was Entropic Retribution. This one, what it does is basically when you proc the path, it just inflicts defense decrease on the opponent 20%. Very nice, especially if I'm running with this free-to-play team. I don't have many characters that can defense break the enemy, so definitely very helpful for me as well. And this additional fire damage equals to like the HP loss and stuff. Like, it's nice to have, it's quite good in a sense, but I don't really rely on this second part. Mostly it's for the defense decrease in this first part. The last one, of course, in terms of this one here, is basically allows you to proc it twice in a battle when your HP gets below 35%. I use this only generally when I'm like trying to run matches faster, but otherwise against like the final boss in a simulated universe, I don't find this super helpful. For this match, I left this out as well. And basically, like my thought process in selecting, I'll show you like all the exact blessings I have towards the end as well. But basically, my thought process is anything that has to do with, for example, this one. If I lose a certain percentage on my HP, get more defense, I like that. Lose my HP, this one is very nice to have as a backup. I don't take it that often unless I have to. Other ones are like, if you lose increased max HP, very nice to have. More HP you have means the more you can chunk down as well in terms of lost HP. So it's like both hybrid between defensive and offensive. All of them are generally pretty good. You want to focus on the strategy is to basically chunk down a bit. This one is super solid as well. You chunk down your HP a bit, you heal up, so you get that sustained going combo with like Natasha. You get really quite a lot of healing. And in terms of like synergies between other paths, like mentioned, preservation is very strong. Abundance is also pretty good if you want. Abundance gives you a lot of like side healing as well. These three work generally quite well together. For Svalrog, I don't really like offensive ones like Hunt. And other ones, for example, like Remembrance, Elation and stuff like that. This free-to-play team generally can take quite a bit of damage, especially if you play Destruction quite right. Most of the damage actually comes from the burst in terms of the Destruction. So Destruction is like your 5th player, your DPS is Destruction. Now Hunt class in terms of like Danheng, just very nice to snipe down the arm when Svalrog summons as well. Other than that, that's about it. Now let's go in terms of like the match itself, and let me talk about in terms of some mechanics that you have to pin out, to watch out for. Okay, and if we are being really honest, the first two phases are not really that big of a deal, especially if you have these destruction buffs that we see here. You just wipe it out all in one shot. If you guys are struggling in terms of this phase, do try the destruction buffs that we talked about and see if you can clear it. If you are struggling in terms of like chipping him down from full, maybe you just need to come back with a little bit more gear. But honestly, I think if you can reach to Svalrog, you probably will be able to clear him quite well already as well. Let's just fast forward this. It's pretty much just Unga Bunga until the second phase. Phase 2 is not much different. He only summons slightly stronger monsters, but other than that, the mechanics is more or less the same. Here I can't one-shot them with the destruction buff anymore, but not to worry because the buffs that we took, the defensive and offensive ones, actually make us very tanky and strong. And even if we don't dish out enough DPS, we can just wait for the destruction buff to come back as long as we can survive till then. This phase 2 is pretty easy. I think most of the problem comes in phase 3, and I think that's where a lot of you might be frustrated with as well. But not to worry, let's jump right into phase 3 and I'll teach you how to exactly tackle it. Alright, so phase 3, this is where it actually gets really challenging. The trick here is you need to burst down the arm as quickly as you can. As you can see here, even the destruction buff isn't enough to one-shot, and I think even like Danheng just quickly bursting it down is not even enough. It's enough to break it, but it's not enough to like immediately one-shot it. And especially if like takes a unit that's very vital. For me, I think the vital 2 units is like Natasha or Danheng. If he takes either one, it's definitely going to be a huge problem for my team. So I just want to use like all my spells quickly so I can get them all up to higher speed, just in case the arm decides to take one of my vital units. And later on we'll see it actually does take both of my vital units later on, but not to worry because the main MVP here, other than Danheng of course dealing a lot of damage, but the main MVP I think is the Path of Destruction. So much damage and so well balanced this path. It's really like a cheat code to clearing this stage very easily as well. Okay, so the second arm came out this time, and I will be showing you exactly like, see he took like literally my DPS here. So technically this is like more or less a troublesome situation because I don't have anything to break the arm. But as you will see shortly, there's not to worry, we actually have a good amount of damage still in the Path of Destruction, which is something that the arm cannot take away from us as well. So that's like something to note. That's why a Path of Destruction is also so valuable. No matter what it picks, even if this is like the worst case scenario, still no big issues as well.
Lance at the ready.
The truth of life and death. The sanctuary is but a vision.
So as we can see here, towards the end of the fight, took my healer, my sustain. I was a bit worried because I was having like really bad RNG. Could have taken Fire MC or Asta, who are not as like vital in terms of the strategy, but I decided to get the worst possible combinations as well. But pretty straightforward because it's almost done, and thankfully Danheng still was able to do a lot of damage and possibly even break as well. I think Natasha was very close to dying in a little bit as well. But the same strategy applies, just wait for the Path of Destruction. Try to use Danheng to break down the arm as soon as you can if possible. But as you can see, I just used one of this break and Natasha is free as well. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward, very low life already. And really the trick, as you can see here, as long as you're able to settle the arm, and Path of Destruction does that very well, this match is actually pretty straightforward. Go ahead and take a look and try as well. I think you guys will find there's no big issue. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe for more of such future content as well. I'll leave the end screen rollings in terms of the buffs that I took, so you guys can take a look if you're interested as well. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.